Hi guys. Hello, hello. Whoa, that's quick. So many people are joining in. I love you guys so much. Just let me pin up this comment that I just made. Hi, beautiful people, wayshowers, grid keepers, light workers. How are you guys doing today? Oh, I love you too. Okay, so today I'm going to go live with a very special guest, and I'm just going to go and add her. We're just waiting for her to join in. Oh, I'm amazing. How are you?
Hello.
Hi. Hi,
How are
Amelia.
you?
So nice to see you.
Beautiful,
How are
beautiful.
you? How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful, darling. I've been
Yes,
looking forward to
amazing.
this.
Me too, me too. I just, saw your Instagram. I saw all the work that you do, and it really touched my heart. It's like I really appreciate what you are doing for the collective. I really see your authenticity. I see the love within you, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just gonna, I had some background music. I'm gonna mute it because it's a little distracting. One
Yes,
second.
yes. Go ahead.
There we go. That's better. I thought it would be nice, but it's actually a little distracting. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
Some.
this is wonderful. This is wonderful.
Yes, yes.
My angels. I refer to them as my angels, but really I think it's just basically God. But He speaks through a very gentle voice to me, and I call it my angels. And they actually gave me pages of downloads for this live, and that's unusual. It's unusual for me to have notes, but I actually have pages that they gave me. So that was quite interesting.
That's
I don't know if,
amazing.
did you see on the post that I was actually told about this live with yourself and one with higher self
Yes,
actually last year at the
yes,
end of the year?
yes, yes. It
And
was it was divinely aligned because as
absolutely.
yes, because as soon as I received a message, it just clicked, and it's not like I don't go live a lot, but it just clicked to me, and it's like it was meant to be. So,
Absolutely.
Amelia, tell us a a bit about yourself. How did your spiritual journey start, and just what you would like to share about your journey.
Okay, so I'm 41 years old. Quite a few people think I'm about 27 in real life, but I am 41. And I actually used to be a rapper. So in the music industry, worked with a lot of famous people, things like that. So obviously I have quite
Ooh,
an unusual background
ooh.
and was in the music industry from 1999 through until a couple of years ago. And I'm being asked to come back now, but we'll see whether I do. Um, and basically in 2003, I got very unwell. It was to do with gynecological issues and medical negligence. Long story short, I was in bed in agony for about 4 years, and my body was like a torture chamber, and I had this big brain that wanted to do something, but my body couldn't do anything. So I read, and I read over 1,000 books. I would go to the library and pick up another 20 and another 20 and another 20, and I believe that set the foundation for what happened later on. So that was the first step, and that just gave me a very good background in herbal medicine and religions, psychology, spirituality, all aspects, all sorts of things, feng shui, breath work, whirling dervishes, the whole everything. And then once I got better, I went back to the music industry. And then in 2009, I met my twin flame. And I completely messed the whole thing up. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, there's something inside of me that wants me to be unhappy. There's something inside of me that is literally self-sabotaging and is going to destroy me. It's like, this thing is not good. So because I had this previous background, I was like, I need to figure out what this thing is, where it came from, and how the F to get rid of it. Because I was like, this is not right. This man came into my life, offered me the entire dream like Cinderella, and I just slammed the door in his face for no reason. And so I then spent another 2 years studying, and I studied the dark. I studied a lot of the yucky things that are coming out now. This is back in 2009, 2010. I studied the dark because I knew this thing came from dark, because it didn't have good intentions. And so I studied the dark. Once I studied the dark all the way to the end, and it's not a nice place, I then went all the way back and went all the way to the light, all the way to the end. And so at that point, it meant I had this really unusual spiritual knowledge where I literally understood the whole parameters. And not only that, I figured out how to put this thing to sleep. So this thing that was this self-sabotaging force, which I later found out was called the ego, I put mine to sleep permanently in 2011, and I haven't experienced any negative emotions as my own since 2011. So I call that enlightenment. So,
Wow. That's so inspirational. That's such an inspirational journey that you have been through. And you talked about darkness. It's like I remember a quote by Phil Good, and it says like doctors study medicine and healers study darkness.
Yes.
So
And that's what some of these downloads were about. They started last night. It started very much talking about how we have to understand the darkness that's within us and outside of us. That being in denial of it means that you're like a little bottle being passed around on the ocean. Whereas once you're aware that the darkness exists, you're now a boat with a sail, a big boat, because you can go where you want to go. And so I think this is something there's a gap being bridged right now. You have the fourth dimensional conspiracy kind of fear-led stuff right now, and then you have the fifth dimensional all love, but there's a bit missing, because the fifth dimensional girls don't want to face this, and these people are not practicing this combination of the two, where we bring it all together. We can understand the horrible things that have happened, but we understand they're coming to light now as a purging for the planet. It's necessary,
Yes, it's amazing, because it's like the integration of the light and the darkness. It's like the integration, and then we all as a collective, we can rise together.
Absolutely. I mean, it's pretty deep, I have to say, considering it's our first time talking. It's pretty deep, the download I got, darling. They were basically explaining how our planet's going to ascend. So planetary ascension is what they explained to me today to share. So my people that always watch me, they know if I'm lucky, I might have a note, like 2 or 3 words. I have this, and then I have pages in here. But I'm not going to be just sat here reading, but it is important, I think. If you like, I can explain a little bit of what they say.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So, and it's so interesting because it's so beautiful how much the angels connected this to you. So you'll see. Okay. The goal of humanity is to be led by heart, led by higher self. But we don't get there through desire alone. We get there through becoming aware of the enemy, aka the ego, darkness, shadow, being aware that it is trying to take us in the opposite direction. First, awareness through education. Then, in addition to education, it is essential to also starve the ego of its food. So that was the first one. And so that's why this was so interesting and such a big deal. And I'm getting goosebumps because literally the first line that came from God is the goal of humanity is to be led by heart. And look at your Instagram name. So it's pretty special.
I feel so grateful.
It's pretty special.
I feel so grateful. Yes, I can see that.
Okay, so planetary ascension. How? all of humanity is operating within a continuous battle, as if they are a boxer in a ring with an opponent that has an equal IQ, equal strength, knows all your weaknesses, including ancestral ones, childhood wounds, as well as bad experiences in adulthood. This is quite an opponent. When you are educated about the ego and have sufficiently starved it, putting it into a anesthetized state, you can then leave the game, leave the match, and be led by heart, led by higher self.
Wow,
Ascension
that's
is
beautiful.
moving. Ascension is moving from duality, light and dark, quickly through 4D, the dark ether, and living in 5D plus, a state of love, a complete absence of fear. So this is just explaining, like, for anyone who doesn't know what the ascension is going to look like, we're currently in duality where everything is black, white, there's light, there's dark. It's all, this is part of the reality that we're meant to be in. This is important, okay? There's a very important video that I was promoting with Eisenhower's granddaughter, and she talks about how the dark's gone too far, but they played their role, but they went too far. Yes, there was necessary darkness that had to be here for us to be able to respond to it. And so the first step is us understanding the duality we're in, understanding the battle that all of humanity's in. If anyone says they've killed their ego, run from that person, because it's not the way. You may have starved it, you may have anesthetized it, but you have not killed it. I have not heard from mine very much in the last 10 years, but if I'm tired, sick or hungry, I will hear it murmur. So nobody can tell me that they've killed theirs. It's not happened.
As long as you have a name, you'll have an ego. You know, as
Yes.
long as we are in this physical plane, we'll have an ego, and it's more about its first step is about becoming aware of that ego. Once you become more and more aware of that ego, you can integrate it. It's like, you know, it's not running the show for you anymore. So it's like when you become aware of it, it's silenced on its own. Now, you know, it's not, you know, running the show for
Well,
you.
just the thing that I teach, the thing I hadn't mentioned is I actually have over 40 women that I've brought up to the same level of vibration as myself, and then a few hundred women that are general clients all around the world. My clients are, there's actually one of the girls, I saw her watching, so Sylvia, she's a cardiac surgeon. I have lawyers, I have coaches, happiness coaches. So I literally am that person people come to when they want to do that last 10% of their healing. I help the girls that have already done a lot of work to finish their work. So that's kind of what I specialize in. And so the thing that I always teach, though, is you need education and you need to starve the ego. If you just have education, it actually makes the ego cleverer. Just awareness makes it cleverer.
Absolutely. You know, but you know, awareness, what I see is that you see that this is the ego. You learn to disidentify from the ego.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
but I understand what the point that you're coming from. It's like because the ego, it finds loopholes to come from the back door. So it kind of uses some kind of processes in some way, in any way. The ego is so clever, it will slip through the back door, and you will not even be aware of it, that it's my ego.
Exactly. Exactly. Because its IQ is equal to yours. You see, so if you're a really intelligent person, then your ego is going to be quite something. You know, mine was a nightmare. Mine was an absolute nightmare. But when you do the magic combination of starving it and being educated of it, you see, because if you just educate, you make it cleverer. If you just starve it, you will doubt that the work was complete. But when you starve and you educate at the same time, what happens is you're able to literally go through its death throes. It acts crazy for a couple of weeks. Like the first 3 weeks of my program, me and my coach literally speak to our clients every 3 or 4 days just to make sure they're okay. Because this is real shadow work, you know. When you are doing this, it's not fun. It's pretty
Absolutely.
special. But then on the
It's
other
extremely
side,
hard.
yeah, then on the other side, you're different. You're changed forever. You're at peace. You're happy. You're happy without any reason. And that kind of brings me on to the next part of what they were saying. And that is that, again, so Ascension is moving from 3D duality, light and dark, quickly through 4D, because 4D, that quick movement, if you have a guide, like when my clients are with me, that trip through 4D only lasts about 2 weeks. But if you're on your own struggling, it can last 4 years. You know, 4D, you can move through that at whatever speed. But if you're working with someone who's 5D plus, they will get you through real fast, you know. So
Absolutely.
you fly through 4D, then you settle in 5D, and this is a place of love. And there's a complete absence of fear. And that's it. And that's where we're all going to. And so
Yes.
this happens effortlessly when you take on the enemy and you defeat it. So you're able to step out of the battle and you're able to leave the boxing match. And so now, without even consciously needing to do it, you are led by heart. You wake up, you are led by heart. You wake up, you are happy. You make decisions, you are led by your higher self.
Yes.
This happens
Because
naturally, you
yes,
know?
because there
So
is there is no judgment in the 5D. There is absolutely no separation. There is no judgment, and that can only happen when we are connected to the love within us. And it's amazing that you talk about it. Starving the ego and feeding the love. I think that is what bridges the gap from ascending from 3D to 5D. That is what, because that also raises our vibration. It's like we directly connect, even if we are in that process of starving the ego again and again, but we keep feeding the love. We are connecting to that. We are on our ways to
yeah,
completely embodying that 5D vibration.
yeah, and the thing is, the ego is clever, but you don't.
Yes.
The battle doesn't have to go on forever. If you have someone guiding you, you can take away all its food within a couple of weeks, and it has no food. It has no choice but to fall into a coma. So again, if you picture it like this boxing match, everybody in humanity, this is where stress comes from, is everybody is fighting within themselves. You know, when people say, I'm indecisive, you're not indecisive. You're having an internal battle between your higher self and your ego. You don't
Absolutely.
realize that you're the silent
Absolutely.
observer. You know,
Yes.
if you knew you were the silent observer, it would be a lot different. But
It's like
you're
a
having
split happens within us. It's like a split. And this is the split right now. We are seeing this
duality.
split. This split we are seeing right now within the entire world. It's like the light
Yes,
and the darkness. This is a
yes,
big, like, the internal
yes.
reality is mirroring the external reality right now.
Exactly. So within, so without, so above, so below. So the thing is that the duality of outside is what's happening within us. And so becoming aware of that, first of all, knowing you have shadow, knowing you have inner demons, knowing it's there, can then now enable you to harness it. So the thing
Yes.
is that when you feel indecisive, when you're doing self-sabotaging things, and everyone does different things. Someone is eating unhealthy food. Some it's a girl sleeping with men she shouldn't. With some people, it's cutting themselves. With some people, it's just being negative. It's so many
Yes.
different things. It's so many different things, and it will be whatever will destroy you. So it knows your weaknesses. So that's the difference, you know.
Yes.
And so the key thing to know, though, is that once you have starved the ego of its food, you will naturally wake up all day, every day, led by heart, and you will not have to do anything to get to that stage. This isn't about positive thinking. I don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm going to be happy today. I'm not going to have negative thoughts. Because guess what? The source of those negative thoughts is the ego, when it feeds on the subconscious mind of negative emotions from the past. Well, if there's no negative emotions from the past, the ego's got nothing to eat, so it falls asleep.
Yes.
And it stays that
Absolutely.
way.
So Amelia, how can I see that a lot of people are asking, how can the people who are watching this, how can we differentiate between whether it is our ego or whether it is our true self, and how to differentiate that it's our ego, how to recognize the ego at the first place, because a lot of people are so much ignorant, they don't even know that it's their ego, because they have been it has been running the show for them for so long.
It's been
It's
there
like
since the day they were born. So how, you know, it's
absolutely.
always been there.
Yes, yes.
So
So yes, so how
the
can
answer
people
is, so I will
yes.
tell you guys the answer, but here's the thing. I want everybody to make a promise to me that not only that they're not going to allow me just to educate you, which will make your ego cleverer, that you will also go and investigate your past to see what you need to forgive, to see what you need to release, so that you can then actually be on your way to putting your ego to sleep. So I will educate you now about the ego, but please, everybody, do some work afterwards to see if you can find the source of your ego's food. And please know this, one of the reasons why a lot of people come to me for coaching is I take them to the places their ego doesn't want them to go, because of course the ego is self-protective. And so it's like my personal trainer. I like working my legs. I have weak arms, arm exercises.
Absolutely.
And it's because she makes me do what I need to do, not what I want to do. And that's what happens with a coach. They take you to the stuff that you don't really want to face, but that will really actually help starve the ego and really change your life in a really big way. So,
Absolutely.
okay, first things first, the ego lives on negative emotions. So we're talking about jealousy, hatred, anger, any of the negative emotions is what it lives on. Now, if everyone wants to envisage for a moment, and if anyone has a pen and paper, you can write this down. Imagine two different radios. One of the radios is playing loud, satanic, heavy metal music. It's screeching, it's changing its mind. There's no rhythm. It's a constant changing of its mind, loudly and passionately. Okay, so that's this radio over here. Now we have another radio over here, and this one is quiet. It's playing angelic classical music. It is rhythmic. It repeats itself gently. It says, go outside, go outside, go outside. Whereas the ego over here is, that person doesn't like you. You need to call your cousin because your cousin's just going to bring you down. But you don't need to do that. But they do this, and then you need to go here, and you need to go there. It's all this stuff. But here's the trick. The ego's gotten really clever in this last moment while we're about to skip out of duality. And that's where it's gotten even more logical. So now, that same tone of voice, that go outside voice, that gentle, repetitive voice, the ego is now starting to speak like this. Well, call your cousin, and you should leave that job. And you should leave that job because it doesn't suit you anymore. And so it starts, it's mimicking the higher self.
It starts shape-shifting itself.
It's mimicking.
That's why, it comes from the back door.
Yes.
It slips into your consciousness.
Yes. So because we know, though, that it's mimicking, we can still, all you have to do is remember you are the silent observer. So you actually don't have a voice. I know this sounds strange to everybody, but you don't have a voice. You are the silent observer that hears the higher self and the ego. And again, this radio station is loud. This radio station is quiet. You are trying to hear this one. This is like the GPS. This one's going to guide you to abundance and happiness and the life of your dreams. This one's got the whole thing mapped out for you. This one is trying to lead you to suicide. Real talk. That's what it's trying to do. This one is trying to destroy you. The ego's end goal is suicide. So when you hear of someone committing suicide, the ego got its way. Okay? And also ego comes from thoughts of separation from God. So as you put it all together, it all starts making sense. It's like, well, if you live in constant connection with God, you're constantly listening to your higher self, you're constantly making the right decisions, and you're no longer hurting yourself. On the other hand, if you have thoughts of separation from God, you are listening to your ego, you think it's you. You think it's you. You've had this voice, it sounds like you. It knows everything about you, and you are following this voice. Understand that not every voice inside your mind is for your best good. And it's time to start.
It's amazing that you mentioned that, because it's the voice of the ego, it's louder, but the voice of the higher self, it's not that louder, because it's the eternal truth that exists. So that is why meditation is so important. That's why going within is so important, because when you go within, you can connect to that, teeny tiny peaceful, it's like the peacefulness within you, that void. When you go within that void, that is when you connect to the voice of that higher self.
Absolutely. And the reason for that is that when you're in meditation, you're in the present. And the ego can't live in the present. The ego can only live in the future or the past, which is how it lives. It lives on making you feel guilty or regret about the past, making you worry or fearful about the future. That's why right now in this current climate, which we haven't mentioned, obviously the whole world is going through craziness. But guess what? It's all part of the ascension. But at the same time, we have to be aware of the fact that the fear that's coming up in everybody, if every time you feel fear, just check yourself and be like, hold on, am I thinking of the future? Am I thinking of next week or next month or next year? Oh, I'm thinking of the future. I'm in ego. Am I in the present? Is everything good right now? Are my lights working? Is there food in the cupboard? Am I feeling good? Have I got running water? Okay, I'm good. Thank you, God. I'm good
Yes,
right now.
yes.
You know,
And
so
you
the
know,
present is your friend.
and you know, the ego, it's like a lot of the times we receive these thoughts, we receive these thoughts that are not even ours, so they come from the collective mind. So every time someone in the collective, anytime that someone in the collective has fed the voice of the ego and they have let themselves go down the spiral by feeding the voice of the ego, it like the ego starts having a dark consciousness of its own. So anytime someone else will listen to that voice, it will like the whole bubble that has been fed by the entire collective, they will feel that energy. And that's why it's anytime someone is going to taking a new step towards healing themselves or taking the right step, doing the right thing, the voice of the ego will become more and a little more dominant, because it.
Oh, it stopped for a minute.
can
Oh, there we
can
are.
you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, it stopped for a minute. But no, you're so right. You're so right. And this is the
Yes.
thing. And this is why once you have fully understood, with my clients, I teach them the darkness within and within themselves and the light within themselves. And once that's been mastered, then the next phase is we then look at outside and we do something that I call only angels. And we actually go through and we actually look at who's in their life, because vibrationally you cannot rise more than 2 points above anyone you're around too much. So you have to be very strategic on who you speak with and who you spend time with, because you will have arrested development if you keep people in your life that are of a lower vibration. No one in the world, I feel like I have the best program in the world, but if somebody is going to live with a low vibration person, there's only so much I can do, because we are vibrational creatures. And so we are going to be impacted, especially like, even down to the fact that, having showers often and things like basic things like that. These things keep your vibration, your house clean, these things make a big difference.
Yes, it's said that your vibe attracts your tribe, but I also feel that your tribe changes your vibe. That is
Yes.
also, that just came to me
Oh,
yesterday,
I have
I was.
another one. I have another one. Your tribe helps you maintain your vibe. So
Ooh, I like
yeah,
that.
because what happens is my ladies graduate from my program, and then I introduce them to my inner circle, and now they have these high vibe female friends. So now
Yeah.
suddenly they have women that are also on the twin flame journey, that are also on the ascension process, that are also trying to save the world, that they can
Ah,
actually talk to, but are also perfectly normal, beautiful career women, So it's kind of like, whoa, your tribe maintains your vibe. But the same way your tribe can destroy your vibe and can destroy your health and can destroy your mind
yes.
if you choose the wrong tribe. And
Absolutely.
sorry, one other thing my angels did just say is that they just said, please tell everybody that it's normal for your tribe to change. Your tribe that was perfect for you last year, that helped with your involvement, that helped with your support, helped you maybe come out of certain relationships, helped you with all sorts of good things. Now suddenly you've outgrown them. Why? You're like a rocket. You're just going faster than them. The gap has become too large and it's time to separate. But guess what? You're going to meet some
Absolutely.
other rockets going just as fast as you, and you're going to meet them up there. So don't worry.
That is that is like, I feel that it's a very major thing that happens. It's like one of the symptoms or one of the biggest changes that someone goes through, because it's like your vibration, it's like when we are one, we all are one, but what happens is
Oh,
that
yeah.
when we start changing our vibration, it's like the universe starts placing us in different in different groups, or for the beginning, it's not even a group. For a lot of time, it's about mastering that solitude, and then you start learn to work with your own vibration, and then you attract the new people. So it's because so that you can feed that energy which is uplifting the humanity. You can feed more and more and more and more, because that is needed on the planet.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, exactly. The thing is, it's so funny because one of the last things they say on here, you almost said word for word one of the lines from it, which is, again, like I said, you know, God sent it. I did want to ask though, you're in India, right? What time is it there?
Yes. Oh, it's I think it's 8 a.m. or so.
Wow, and
Maybe.
I'm in Atlanta, so I'm from England, but I'm living in America, and it's 10:30 p.m. So it's just so interesting, you know. Like I love how we
I
can
know,
connect the
I
world together.
know.
My father was born in Bangalore.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so my
Nice.
father, was born in India and he grew up in India and he left once. I'm not sure exactly the age, but he left a little bit later on, but he was there for a good few years and went to school there and everything like that. So, and he recently went back to India with his sister and my brother, and
Oh,
they went back and visited all the old schools. And there
that's
was actually a
amazing.
nun. There was a nun that was their teacher, and she was still alive. Oh, it was amazing. So,
Wow.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
India, I believe that it's about the whole world, but there are certain areas in the world that are, more that have deeper roots to the
Yes.
spirituality. So the
Oh,
eastern areas and the India, as you talk about, it has a very the if we see the ancient scriptures, we see all those things, they all connected to very deep spirituality. But what happened is that over time, as the religion took over, which is another form of the ego, people started disconnecting from that wisdom that was meant to connect them from within. And it's like the focus, it completely changed. The focus got changed, people got ignorant to the real knowledge, the real wisdom, and all the ancient wisdom, it got manipulated. And again, the ego came from the back door. So as a collective, the ego came from the back door, and people got disconnected from their
well, the
roots.
thing is, the ego just already exists. There's already outer darkness and there's inner darkness within the whole of humanity. But guess what? You
Right.
can throw it off and you can leave the boxing match. You don't have to spend your life
Yes.
in a battle. But it is
Yes.
interesting you say about India. I have a couple of interesting things about that. One, I do believe the reason I'm able to do what I do is because of my Indian ancestors. So I do believe that it's very much connected.
Yes.
I also have a community called Empress Evolution, which is a really special divine feminine, divinely guided special community, and we have like 2,000 members right now, and basically we
Ooh.
have coordinators for every single country and every part of America. So anywhere where you live, we have a coordinator. So we have one for India, we have for South Africa, we have for Africa, we have for Europe, UK, everywhere. And the whole idea is
Wow.
so that divine feminines can meet their soul tribe, their sisters, that are within the same area, the same region, or at least have the same cultural ties. They understand the same country and the same community. And so this was created in October in 10 days. So from scratch, it didn't exist. And then 10 days later, it existed. We have the coordinators, we have these little Facebook groups and things. Anyway, within 4 days, we were created in 10 days. Within 4 days, my angels told me that the Indian group had already lit up the grid in India. And we
Wow.
hadn't even, that was in 4 days. And that was simply because the Indian ladies had seen each other in the comments section. And because it was started because God told me to write a post that said, ladies, say where you live so you can meet your sisters. And 600 women just wrote where they lived. And so some of the Indian girls went through and found all the Indian girls and started making their own WhatsApp chat before we'd even built the whole structure and the Facebook and everything. And I was walking my dog, and my angel said, "Oh," they said, "India just lit up their chakra." I went, "Oh, wow." And so I have this amazing affinity to Indian women, like I said. And Simon Parks is one of my mentors, and I had a private one-to-one talk with him last week. First thing he said to me, he said, "What's the connection with you in India?" And I was like, "Well, my dad's from there." He said, "You've had many past lives there." And
Mm.
this is how it all connects with yourself and with the vision that I was told that I was to work with you guys. And
Yes.
since then, I've been given great clarity that I am to actually set up a huge piece of land in India where all women, it will be women only, but all women can actually go to it if they want to. So this idea that, you know, no one has to have an arranged marriage if they don't want to, or if any woman is being abused in her anywhere, in any way, any woman who wants to leave, I'm to provide somewhere for them to go. And that this place, we will have gardens and we'll make clothes and jewelry and all sorts of things. But this idea of like an ashram stroke retreat stroke commercial facility. And that's part of this work that I know that I'm to do with you. And one of my clients, June, who's also from India, she is to work with me on it as well. And in addition, I'm to make my program into an online program so that it can be sold to third world countries, and it can be sold to countries that don't have the same finance levels as, say, the US, and that's how we are to help heal the world.
Yes, that's amazing. Just a moment. I'm just, putting my iPhone on a charge so that it doesn't go away.
There she is. I just
That
saw
makes
June's
sense.
watching. She was like, can't wait. You have to meet June. She adores you. When she saw that we were doing this, June was like, oh my God, I'm so excited.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so I see that a lot of your work, it's dedicated to women, and you have this affinity of helping more and more women. And as we see that today in this world, the feminine energy, and it has been for thousands of years, the feminine energy is what has been repressed, and that is when most of the women, even the men, they are disconnected from from their feminine energy. So what is your intention, and how is that you are so much inclined in awakening the feminine energy and helping more and more women?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, the thing is I am a pure channel. So like I said, I've cleared out any junk. So God speaks. I don't ask God questions. And you know how a lot of people ask? I don't ask. It's just, they just keep on talking. Sometimes I'm like, can you just shush? Please.
It's
Like,
it becomes
give
too
me a
much for
break.
you. It becomes too much for you, na?
Well, they have no sense of time or
Yes.
tiredness. So they'll wake me up at 3 a.m. to give me a download. They have no understanding. So because of that, I literally am the embodiment of what they want me to do. Every aspect of what they want me to do. It's at this point, it's not like I'm choosing it. I'm just told that I'm to do this, I'm to do that. This is what's next. It's literally, I just obey orders. That's it. So I do know I was given the 3 rules of the universe, which is La, which is love and friendship, and then Ra, which is the masculine and action, and then Ta, which is creation and sex. And what's very important is that we change the tar energy, the creation and sex, and that we change that to a place of innocence. And because in 5D, creation and sex are of innocence. Now, La, the women of India hold the most La energy, okay? And I've been told that as a woman, I hold the highest Ra energy. So that is why my job is to do what I do, because I'm very feminine and I love women, but I'm so strong. And I will stand up to any living creature anywhere, in any way, in any shape or form. And that's why I believe my role is to do what I'm doing. It's because I'm not scared of anything. And I'm given this very clear direction. And this clear direction is to get us all where we're supposed to be. So,
That's so
yeah.
beautiful. That's amazing. So tell us about your program. I saw that you have a program. It's like a 5-step program that you've brought it down to help the women over 35 plus. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I say women over 35. Predominantly, I think the average age is about 38. So I do have some girls as young as 25. I have a mother of three that's a stay-at-home mum that's 25. She's a violet flame. She's divine. And she's happily married to her twin flame. So that's my youngest. And then my eldest client, I believe, is like 59. And so the ladies range, it's all to do with being an old soul. The women need to be in a very mature state to do this work because it's very serious. Now, what I do is I have the 5-step diamond process, which is the process where we go through and clear everything out, and then we create a plan so that when you leave after the 6 weeks, you are in a position to really kind of embrace your life and start creating the abundance and going to divine purpose, which is what everybody wants. And so that's the program. I'm really selective of who I let into the program because obviously my vibration is so sensitive, and my coach Alicia that works with me, her vibration is very sensitive. So for girls to come in, it has to feel like a vibrational match for us. And if it doesn't feel like a match, we just direct women somewhere else. But yeah, so that's basically what we do. And then the main thing is just that basically after they've done the 6-week program, I then have something even further on from that called the Inner Circle, where we actually have a handpicked group of women. And what we're doing is we're working on education. We have a small group of 4 to 5 women, all from an education background. We have a lady that's a teacher. Sorry, she's a coach of principals and teachers. We have another lady that specializes in psychology of adults that are parents of children in education. Then we have, like literally these women were handpicked by God. So we have the education section. We have a section that's going to be about the mind and it's going to be called Be Positive. And then there's the B, which is for body, and that includes like the cardiac surgeon. I have a 15 times triathlon champion that's in that group. So we're putting these groups together, and these women are going to put together prospectuses of how we can change humanity for the better. And then I have people like Simon Parks that I can send these to so that it can start getting into the right hands around the world.
That's amazing. That's all very amazing. So tell us, I just saw that someone asked that where they can reach you. You can tell more about the website. I think you also have a website. So tell us about more of your work.
Yeah, I mean, the Instagram is a really great first spot because you can just click the link in the bio and book a free call. That's just simple. And it takes you through to the website. On all my posts, I also put my website, which is amelialoveworld.com. So you can go there and watch videos and testimonials and things like that. There's also a link on the Instagram to the community, Empress Evolution. So it's like, it's really easy. I've tried to make it so simple for people to navigate that if they just slow down and go through things in a slow way, you will see and find everything you need. My angels keep telling me there is 1 or 2 bits. Remember I said there was something you said and you kind of quoted it? This was, let me just see how many. There's just two pages, 2 small pages. But it says, this is about our ascension. It says, we are Earth and Earth is us. The current energies from the sun and the galaxy are supporting our growth. So what took me 17 years, people can now do in 7 months. But the work has to take place. You have to choose to defeat the enemy within. It's not just a desire to be led by heart. It has to be that you do the work. And the work should feel tough. The work should feel like, oh! If it doesn't feel like that, you're not doing it. It's like exercise. If it doesn't hurt and you don't ache after, you're not doing anything, guys.
It's like when the snake, he sheds his scales, or when the butterfly, she's like, first of all, it's like in a cocoon. So it's like a painful process because the unlearning has to happen. You have to. It's like you are the seed is sprouting from inside out. So the out, it's going to fall away. It's going to completely crumble away, and that is going to be a painful process.
Absolutely, exactly. And so by doing this work, you can defeat the enemy. And so it says, from this healed state, You will not need to control your mind to be led by heart. It will happen naturally, as the enemy is now asleep. And so finally, the last thing that they said to me to tell you was that then once your ego is asleep, you will then naturally move into service to others, but in a healthy way, because self-love will be predominant. And so then you will be part of a wave of healed healers sharing your knowledge and love. And this is how the planet ascends, one individual at a time, with the knowing that we are one.
Yes, and because it's amazing that you mentioned that the once the ego, you starve the ego and it goes on a sleep, we are more of a service to others, and that also comes from the heart center. That comes from the unity consciousness. That's all that the 5D is all about. It's about the vibration of love. So that vibration of love, when you start connecting with that vibration of love, you are automatically, it's like your heart is opening and you are being called to serve others.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's interesting, is that, every single client that contacts me, they have this thing. It's like they're professional women, they're career orientated, but they're also very much family women. They love their family. They're the most positive person in their circle. They have an urge to be of service and to help others. They have an interest in health. They have an interest in spirituality. There's this, it's like this exact framework, and they just show up at my door and say, hi, I'm ready. And it's wonderful. It's amazing. And so that's why it's so interesting, Miss, because it's like, I think what happens is it's a natural selection process, in that those that's ego is too big, it will keep them away from me. Whereas those that have the potential to overcome their ego, they will step forward and they will make contact and they will say, hey, I need to do this. I want to know more. Let me book a free call. And they book a free call, and then we have a chat, and we see
It's
whether
like, yes, it's like they're ready. They are ready for the process. They're ready for the changes that you are to offer them, to the upgrade that you are to offer them. It's ready for that. They are ready for that.
Exactly. And then after you've done the program, there isn't any, it's not like this constant journey. I always wonder when coaches say, oh, it's an ongoing journey. I'm like, honey, no, we need to finish the journey and get on with actually doing stuff that's going to change the planet. We can't just be on this journey forever.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
gosh, I can't be trying to work on self all the time. All I'm doing now is working on business self. So like creating my online program, making sure I have all the structures in place. But I'm not having to go inwards as much anymore, other than to collect the messages. And that's the place that everybody will be at as we move into this new ascended world. So I just think it's really important that everybody understands that, everyone keeps talking about the ascension of the planet and they think it's just going to kind of happen. But no, it's us. It's the earth angels that incarnated down here.
Absolutely.
It's us physically making this shit
Absolutely.
happen.
Yes, people are just sitting there, waiting. It's like they're waiting for something, and something magical will happen. And what they're not doing is they're not taking responsibility of their reality. They are not realizing that the universe is within them. Each one of us, we are so powerful. We are so powerful, and that's that's the reason why a mass awakening is happening on the planet right now, because a lot of the light workers who have actually been doing the work for years and years, that has it's kind of, it has set up a momentum for the awakening. Ooh, for the feeding the light, love, 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 love. And right now, the people who are, they are just awakening. That light that we have fed for so many years, that's kind of powering up them right now. But if they get caught up in that ego, then they'll not be making the most of this time right now, because this time is so powerful right now. Everyone has a chance to create a new reality, to build a new reality, to completely crumble away the old, to shift, to ascend into the higher dimensions. They have this opportunity right now.
It's so true. It's so true. I do have so much compassion for the people that are being shocked by the information that's coming through, though, because again, I learned about all this dreadful, dark, satanic, baby murdering, disgusting government official. Bleh. I learned about this in 2009. I mean, it's been over a decade for me. So in which
Oh.
case I knew about this. And so I'm able to now be that person that can speak from 5D plus, and at the same time but mention this stuff because it needs to be known, because we've got to purge it all out. How is an Earth going
Absolutely.
to ascend into 5D plus, a place of no fear that's just love, if there's children being held in dungeons and being sexually raped and murdered on our planet? It can't. We have to clear out the worst stuff. So it's like this clearing process. So we have to become aware of everything that's going on, be in
And
a place of trust and love and connection with God.
Yes. And for the clearing to happen, people first should have the courage to see that it is actually happening, to see the truth, because a lot of the people, even if they're saying the truth, they are like being a little skeptical, and that is like the cognitive dissonance. You have to see
Yes.
the truth, only then we can join our hands as a collective, and we can actually make a collective shift, so that the collective reality can actually change. We have to
Yeah.
we have to be willing to see that.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that there's so much information. Once this bad information's come up, there's going to be tons of good information. I do recommend anybody that hasn't checked out my stuff before, I have an IGTV video series where I talk about how we got here with the coronavirus, what's going to happen next, and what the future looks like. And then there's a bonus video of how to deal with fear. So I definitely recommend everybody watches it, because I talk about the positive things that are going to be coming through, like free power, and how that's going to change everything, and the new medicines and the new, the new things, because we're 50 years ahead of what we think we are.
Yes,
So
yes,
basically, like what we have right now is like the 70s. So we're going to come up to date to the year 2020, and we're going to be able to do incredible things within medical and nutrition, just all of the scientific patents that have been held back by the shadow government and the dark cabal. It's all going to be
yes,
released, because it has to be. And I'm just so proud of humanity. Humanity is standing up. The guardians are stepping up. There's so many brave people. Every day I come across someone who's
yes.
just so brave. And it's just so exciting. And the leaders are stepping up. And it's time to make the changes. But everybody needs to understand that the ascension isn't just something you read about on Google and it just happens, and everyone talks about ascension symptoms and clearing for the collective. That's all great, but have you faced your shadow? Because only you can face your shadow. Nobody can do it for you. I can hold your hand, I can give you the guidebook, I can wipe your tears, but you will have to be the one that walks up and does that clearing.
Absolutely. That is so powerful what you just said. You have to face your own shadows, because in the spiritual community, a lot of the people, they are like, I gotta be positive. I have to, do all these work, these affirmations. But you know, the reason that your affirmations are not working, because you're not dealing with your own shadow. A lot of the
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
you
that's
know.
just like icing. It's just icing on the
Yes,
cake. What
yes,
you're doing is it's like making a cake with salt and then putting icing on top. You've got to get your basic ingredients together. Your
yes,
basic ingredients are
yes,
this: going back, looking at the past, seeing who you are holding unforgiveness against. Now, if you feel neutral about someone, that is not enough forgiveness. You have to find a way of rewriting your history from a place of love. Even if you went through something dreadful, and the love that you're able to find for that person is in gratitude that now you can help other people recover from that same disgusting thing. You've got to
yes,
find a way to rewrite your history, because that anger, that negative emotion is actually poisoning you. Cancer is often caused by resentment and unforgiveness. So it's
yes.
really important that people do this work. Go through, write a list of the 10 people that hurt you most in your life, and spend time doing whatever you have to do to clear that and get to a place of love and full forgiveness with that person. That in itself is going to change your life. It's so true.
Wow, I just I just got flowed into, it's like I got hypnotized by what you were saying.
Like I said, it's
It's
not really me.
amazing.
I'm just a channel. Just a channel. That's all it is. I'm just
Yes.
you know, and so we
if
were
if
meant.
we do not, yes, if we do not deal with the shadows, it's like, I read in a book and I really resonated with this thing that when we have gone through the trauma, our aura, it kind of has a dark clouds or dark spots in it. And when people are not looking on those shadows, but they are focusing more on the positive stuff, the other areas of their aura, they are going to light up, but the shadow is going to remain the
Yeah,
shadow.
you
So you
have to
have to
go to the
directly
yucky
deal with,
places.
you have to directly deal with that.
Yeah, you've got to say, okay, who are the 10 people that hurt me most in my life? And you're going to sit down and say, I'm not coming out of my room until I've figured out who the 10 people are and I've spent that time on it. You know, that is what's the most important thing. It really is. I know we're nearly out of time, honey. But I think this is so important for us to do this, and I'm up for any suggestions that you have. If you want to do it again or do it regularly or whatever. I mean, like I said, we're here to change the world, and the time is now. And
Yes,
actually,
absolutely.
we can't mess around. It's now, you know.
Right now
And
is when the people need to know about all this the most. Right now we need this forbidden information, or the forbidden wisdom. Right now we need it the most, because it's like a spiritual war is going on, the war between the light and the darkness.
oh yeah, it's absolutely very real. And the thing is, there was so much that the angels wanted me to say today. That on another time, if you're up for it, I can actually answer questions. Like, because the thing is that
Absolutely.
my angels, and you know, God is here with me. And so, literally, anything anyone wants to know about spirituality or healing, ego, higher self, dimensional stuff, I am given most of the answers, basically. So.
Absolutely. I would love to do that with you, because I just see some of the comments, people are really resonating with whatever we are discussing. And this is like the pure wisdom. This is what people need right now, because as this war between the light and the darkness, the people who have been ignorant for years, they are like in the middle. So it's like they are, it's like a
Someone has
seesaw.
to
They're
show the way. It's the way showers. And I
absolutely.
believe that me and you are the way showers of the way showers. And so the way showers still need guidance. And so they have
Yes.
us. And like I said, God has made it very clear to me that 3 months ago that this was going to happen, that me and you would do this. And also with your friend higher self, and with the plans for building the ashram in India. So it's all connected. It's all connected.
It's
I think
amazing.
we're gonna run out of time, aren't we? It's gonna boot us off. I think it's
Yeah, maybe
11 o'clock my end.
yes,
We've been
I
on an
think,
hour now, so I think for you to save it, we might have to jump off, my darling.
yes, yes, absolutely. So I am so grateful to be here with you today. And everyone, I just pinned her Instagram at the rate Amelia Happiness Guru. Just go check it out. She has amazing work, amazing videos. She has a program. Go check it out, her website. And this is what we need right now. I so appreciate you for what you are doing, for everything. I see you. I see all of
Thank you for
you.
having me. Thank you for being you. My
Thank you
angels
so
adore
much.
you. And just let me know whatever you want to do next. This is all I do. I do nothing
Absolutely.
else. So
I'm sending you so much love. Bye
definitely
bye.
love
Stay
you. Bye
fresh.
bye.